loves, welcome back. Today I want to talk about boundaries, how to set and communicate boundaries in particularly close relationships, and why they're really important as well. I know, especially from my perspective, it felt like boundaries were a lose-lose situation. I didn't think that boundaries would actually help me that much, and I also thought that all I'm gonna do is lose my partner, my friend, my family in the process, and I really had to face those fears and push through it. And I realized that a lot of the time that it is just that. It is just fears that the worst is going to happen, that we're going to totally upset the balance of the universe and everything's going to come crashing down in on us. But as I've been setting some really deep boundaries. I've been pushing the people around me pretty far, and I have learned a lot of wonderful things about them. And boundaries is one of my favorite things to talk about because they are just so fruitful. I mean, the benefits you get from them, how strong you feel, and how much more you can feel safe and receptive is just incredible, and I love it so much. So the past few weeks, maybe month, I've been having some pretty deep realizations and conversations with my family. And my parents gave me a comment that was something like, a lot of kids usually wouldn't comment on stuff like this. And it was very true. It was quite personal to their relationship. It was about their relationship. And for so long, I mean, over a decade, I haven't said anything because I always felt it's not my place, it's not my relationship, but it was my place because I was being affected. Naturally, I am not someone who likes to gossip. I don't like to get involved in other people's things. And so it finally clicked that if I feel like I need to say something, then it's about time that I do say something. And I just got to the point anyway where I couldn't hold it in anymore. I just had to voice what I thought, said what I thought was uncomfortable, because my parents were in a dynamic that I think both of them were blind to, and I was aware to it, and it just made me feel very, very uncomfortable, even though I didn't have any tangible proof or action. So I just had to go with a lot of vulnerability, a lot of courage, a lot of hope, a lot of faith, and just go, this is what I need to do in order for me to move forward. And I'm going to trust that I'm going to land the other side. Maybe my family dynamics will change, but I will be better now that I have voiced this, because I tried doing so many other peripheral things and it just wasn't working. So sometimes you need to go through. Sometimes you do need to have those hard conversations. And sometimes it does feel like it's none of your business, but if you're getting swept up in it and it is intruding on your own healing, then it is your business. They have got you caught up, even when you don't want to be caught up. And this can happen in any kind of relationship, but family relationships, partner relationships can often get very confusing, and we often don't want to overstep or lose someone, which is why it can be very hard. But I do want to tell you that people can handle a lot more grace than you think. I went into this conversation, so I first chatted with my mum, and then I chatted with my dad afterwards. I personally didn't feel like it was good to chat to both of them at the same time, because of the topic we were talking about, and also because of my family dynamic. And I wanted to be able to really hold a space where we both could be vulnerable and we could both let any emotion and reaction out. And I didn't feel like I'd be able to do that with both of them there at the same time. So do set the conditions in the way that you feel most comfortable. Do it when and where you feel safe, and at a time where you feel like you know clearly what you want to say and what you want to release. And don't make it about them. Don't try and control the situation. Just do it when you've fully processed it and you've just left with this bubble of, I need to air this, because then you're not looking for an outcome, and that is always the best way. So I spoke to my mum and I voiced this, and I thought the storyline in my family was that my mum's not very aware, and I thought that she'd have no clue that this dynamic was going on. It turned out she did, and as I was having this conversation with her, she opened up a lot more as well, because I was creating a new depth that was unprecedented in my family. Usually we had this dynamic of let's just suffer on our own and skip over those parts so that, you know, everyone else can live in this fantasy everything's okay world. But my mum had realized it, and I learned a lot about her. She found that she did notice it, but she didn't know how to communicate it. And it gave me a lot of information on the topic as well. It gave me a new perspective. And most importantly, it shattered a lot of limiting beliefs around the character that my mum was, because we had this steadfast storyline that even my mum played into, that she was a certain type of person in the family, certain type of character, and my brother, my dad, and I all saw her in a certain way, and that she was quite a different character, and then the three of us were a different type of character. So it was very imbalanced, and we just basically had certain dynamics in our family and put it down to the storyline of, oh, okay, she's just a bit different. And it was a bit like a justification. Because when I ended up speaking with my mum, I realised that we had loads more in common than I thought, and she's not actually that unaware as we initially expected. And so I started to break down a lot of the mental perceptions that I had about people and about our family construct. And it meant that I could engage with my mom in a very different way. We hadn't had a personal relationship before, but after this, as I saw that she could go to these deeper depths, and she kept saying herself like, oh, maybe I'm just a surfacey person, I'm not very deep. I found that she got it wrong too. She just didn't know how to create that safe space, how to communicate in the way that I was with her in that moment. And it does take a lot of vulnerability, maybe practice, just being in that space. You really have to be vulnerable and willing to let anything and everything come up. And my mum just wasn't very good at creating that space. So when I came to her with that, I unlocked a whole new person that I could communicate with and that I didn't know. And I could then bring that to the rest of the family and go, hey, this person is more trustworthy than we thought, is more aware than we thought, has more insights than we thought. Let's stop discrediting her. You know, so when you have these conversations as well, you find that you not only set yourself free, but you can unlock a lot of things for a lot of people, and you can make new allies in new ways. And it's just such a beautiful experience to bare your soul, to bare this is what I'm feeling and thinking, and just see what happens afterwards. Because my mum was very naturally, she's quite reactive, and I thought she would hear this because I came quite clear, quite direct, and I think that's a good thing to do as well when you communicate boundaries. Be clear and direct, and also hold it with a loving space. You know, you just want to share. You're not telling them, you do this, you do that. And I thought, even though I said it, I would have said it in quite a loving and open way, the best that I could. I just thought my mum would hear certain words, shut down, attack against me. And I still did it anyway because I had to see it through. I had to voice it. But I did think that I was going to end up with a messy scenario afterwards. What I found instead, because I think I was connecting from such a deep and vulnerable place, and I'd opened that space up for her as well. I'd opened up a space for her to say her part, not just, I need to say what I need to say, okay, bye, run out the door. You know, I was like, I'm in this conversation. I am here. I am willing to see what comes up for both of us and how it grows. And maybe I'm wrong, or maybe you need to ask questions or ask my perspective or whatever comes up. And we just had this really deep connective talk. And I think she loved that as well. She's like, I do love these chats. And I said, well, I never knew that because you never held this space for me when I was younger. I just thought, you know, and anytime we got close, you'd avoid it. But again, because I came in such an open way, it unlocked a whole new sphere in her, and I saw a side of her that no one in my family really had. So really beautiful things can come of this, which is why it's such an exciting video for me. And if you've got something, I mean, if you're here, there's probably something that you're scared to, but really need to voice. I 100% back you. If you really have that honest, I need to share it from my heart, just get it off my chest, that is such a perfect place to be, because you're not coming from a place of, I want to change things in my environment. You're in a very surrendered, very wonderful place that a lot of people really do respond to. I'm talking about most people. I'm not talking about extremes. Honestly, you might feel as though your family or your partner is an extreme. I have found in a lot of cases that they're not. Like my scenario, I thought I had my mum down to a T, and still as I've grown and accessed new parts of me, I unlock other parts in different people, and she surprises me as well, and I absolutely love that. So I wanted to share and underline a couple things that I've said that will maybe help you. So the first is, have this conversation when you feel very direct and clear on what you want to share, and don't go in with a blame. Like, even if it is their fault, it takes two to tango. Every relationship, there is a two-way dynamic. Even though the responsibility might be sitting with them, you might be holding or not holding something in you that triggers that. So they might act out at you because they don't feel safe with you. So you can help the dynamic by building a part of you that will help the other person feel more safe, so that they now have a safe space to grow and heal that dynamic. And it also takes patience from your point of view. If you're saying this person needs to change, I'm really going to question you and say there's probably something that you can do as a first step to help them change. And if they still don't after that, then you'll just very neutrally and easily see the dynamic that's going on. You're not going to be caught up in it. You're not going to get anxious or pent up or angry. You're just going to see, I've done everything that I can. I've been holding the most loving and open space. And if they still can't heal through it, then we'll look at it a different way. We'll do something else. So the first one is, when you have these conversations, let them get triggered. Let them react in any way that they want to. Their first reaction isn't always the lasting one. So when I had the equivalent conversation with my dad, he did start to get a bit more triggered, and he felt like he was doing, I hit that sense of him. He must have felt as though he was a bad person, just any kind of feedback that was very intimate feedback about their relationship. And so it must have been really hard to hear. And you can expect people to feel triggered, and that's okay. Hold that loving space of, I want this new outcome and I just want to be heard, and hold the space for them to throw up a fit as well, because they have the right to act however way they want to. You're coming to them with some very sensitive information, and for them it's out of the blue. They are completely unaware of it. And if you've been on your healing journey as well, you know that a lot of surprising things can come up, and don't take their reaction as the lasting reaction, because they might blow up to begin with. And as I spoke more with my dad, he got a bit triggered, and so what he does is he tries to challenge me and put it back onto me. And when he saw that I wasn't biting, that I was absorbing his attacks, his hits, he then realized that I wasn't out there to get him. I wasn't against him, I was with him. I was drawing him into my loving, healing space. And when he saw me absorb all of that, he realized, oh, I'm not in war. I'm being asked to step up here. And that was such a beautiful thing to witness as well. Someone witnessing me giving him love and space too. And he came through pretty quickly. He was able to change even within the space of the conversation. But I was also prepared for the worst, the worst being that I was going to be cut off and ostracized and completely ruin the family dynamic. And I still did it anyway. I had faith that I was going to work through it no matter what comes up, because if this is what's showing up in my body, that I need to share this, then I need to share this. And even if I go through a bit of a rough patch afterwards, I know I'm going to be better in the long run. The next thing is, I just really want to underpin, don't blame. Don't go, you're doing this to me, you're making me feel this way. Hold away from you and your statements, and come more from a I feel. And if they challenge it, if they take even your I feel statements as, well, you're just accusing me of XYZ, just go, that might be right, and I know you're feeling XYZ, but from my perspective, it hits this part of me, and I don't know, I know that that's not what's going on in the moment, but I've been hurt previously and it's coming up for me now, and I'm just asking you to hold this space for me while I work it out and figure it out, because I do want to be closer to you. I am communicating these boundaries because I want something stronger together. I want to feel more connected. I want to feel deeper. I want to feel lighter. Just coming in with this really raw intention and just whatever they say, just bring it back to that place of, I'm just looking for love, I'm looking for peace, I'm looking to work through together. That's why I am here. I'm looking to heal and do things differently, and let them know that it's not about right or wrong either. As I say, this dynamic with my family, I felt really uncomfortable with, and it would have been so easy for other people to go, that's right, that's wrong. But I really held that space of there is no right or wrong. I just would like to call this out and heal through this with you guys. And if not, at least now I have voiced my concern. I have put in my own boundary, and now you know if I don't respond the way that I usually do, that's because you're hitting up against my boundary. And we all go home feeling a little bit more aware of what's going on, and I don't feel triggered. Also, the benefit of vulnerability, this sense of I just want to share something that's on my heart and I'm not looking for you to react or solve in any way. There's a vulnerability that comes with that people respond to. And I think that's what happened with my mum when I thought that she'd get very triggered. Actually, she was reading my energy and seeing that I was all love in that moment. There was no accusation. And she said that to me afterwards as well. She just that we know that you're not looking for a fight or any certain intention or outcome. Just in that moment, we witnessed you just moving through what you need to. And also people are more perceptive than you think, because my brother said to me the other day that I've noticed what you do is you start in one direction, you go deep into the other, and then you end up in the middle. So people are watching you too. It's not the end of the world when you say something and they get triggered. They will come back around, usually, from what I've found. And if not, then you've learned a bit more information. You've embodied more information. And that's going to help you in that relationship and in others as well. So yeah, I talked about them allowing them to surprise you. You might see a new side of them, good, bad, just welcome that in, welcome all of that in as if they are your own. You're trying to bring this person into you, allow new things to come up, and just be very, very present and in the moment. And that's how you're going to learn a lot. So don't try and control the outcome. They don't need to do a certain thing. From my experience, the best outcomes have been when I've just surrendered all control and it's played out by itself. I've had so many wins and so many learnings all wrapped up into one, and it's never been as bad as I thought. Controlling things is usually where things have gone wrong and feel really icky and sticky, and things fall down further down the line. Having no objective, just letting the natural fallout play out. Otherwise, you are in more of a manipulation scenario where you're trying to reel them in and get them to do something that you want to do, and the other person is going to pick up on that, even subconsciously, and it's just not going to work. So communicate very clearly and directly, and even though you might have 95% of the story, you might not have the 5%. So allow yourself to be surprised too. Give room for things that you don't know, and just hold that loving space of, I just need to share this, I need to air this, and I need to see what happens next. If you guys have any questions about this whatsoever, or a more specific scenario or another topic you'd like to talk about, I would absolutely love to help. So please let me know in the comments below. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Give a like and subscribe if this was helpful or you enjoyed it. And I am really eager to see you in the next one. Thank you very much, my loves. Bye.